Hi there, Dolly and many friends. Thank you so much for coming back today. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm looking at some options for the doorknobs for the dormitory door. And if you remember, my friend Becky sent me these cute little pine cone beads, ornaments. And I was thinking I quite like that for the dormitory. I'm just adding a little antique gold rub and buff to some of the areas here. You can't really tell what I've done, but it's on there. It's just my bad lighting. Yeah, so I'm just setting them here to see if this is where I want to put them or I want to put them in a different area. I've pried off the little rings that were on top of them and I'm going to sand them down even a little bit more than they are. But I think I rather like that. What do you think? Very simple, and yeah, and I'm just kind of lining up my trims, getting ready to do that. And here I go. Uh-oh. Well, when I pulled the tape off, I didn't realize I had put my painter's tape a little far out into the wall. So I'm just staring at it now because I don't know what I'm going to do. There were a couple layers of that paint and it was custom mixed. And there's no way I'm gonna get it back again, and I can't bear the thought of painting the whole wall again. So I'm going to just have to cover it up with something. So I'm playing with the wallpaper that I'm going to use in the dormitory and trying to see what I like here. And I don't really know. Hmm. All right, I think I know what I'm going to do, at least for now. I'm just going to cut a little strip and put it across the top there and put up the wall and see if I can live with that for a while. So I've cut it to size and I'm just going to Mod Podge that down and I'll do the other side as well and see how that goes. I'll have to see how it looks once I add the trims. I don't know. I'm not loving it. It covers the it covers the part where there wasn't enough paint, but that's about all it does. I'm going to go ahead and add my trims, and you saw me do that last time, so you don't really need to see every little gory detail for that. So I'll just cut right to the end. Well, that's what I have. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to do more paper or I don't know what I'm going. In the meantime, more problems have arisen, and that is that the door handles that I've had on the parlor side French doors keep falling off. They're just those little pieces of metal, and they're just secured by the little wiry ends, and they keep falling off. So I've decided I'm going to attach them to some kind of back plate and see if that will make them a little more secure. And I'm just going to use a little coffee stir stick to do that. And yeah, I'm just using my, eyeball technique to see if that's what I'm going to like. So I've used one of the little metal pieces to put some little markings there. I don't know if you can see them. And I'm using a little pointy tool to kind of um, make a little indentation where I can put the piece of metal. You have to be really careful if you do something like this, especially if you have these extraordinarily flimsy coffee stir sticks like I do, or they split. And I'm just kind of eyeballing the ends there and deciding it needs a little trim. So I'm just using scissors for that. And I'll make a matching one for the other side. This is what they looked like when I was finished. I sanded them so they had some rounded corners and I just used a stain pen to color them. And now I'm using a little antique gold rub and buff to give them a little gilding so they'll better match the door. While you're literally watching my paint dry, I would love it if you would leave a comment and let me know if you've done any doll housing, mini making, or doll related projects or activities this week. What have you got going on? I've been a little bit frustrated with my miniature making this week, but that's the way it goes sometimes, huh? You have ups and downs. And I think that's the nature of playing with tiny things. I've just added some super glue to my little holes. I just want to keep using that super glue. Maybe I should try something else. Maybe that's part of the problem. Yeah. So I'm adding them in here. Sorry for my hand. It was just the way I had my camera positioned. And yeah, I'm just kind of seeing, is that going to work? And I decided that, yeah, it is going to work. And I'm going to attach them with some tacky glue. I will show it to you on the wall at the end of the video, but just for full disclosure, they did fall off again. I ended up attaching them a little more at a right angle using tacky glue, and they have not fallen off since then. I'm getting right to work on the dormitory floors, and I want to use these popsicle sticks because I want the floor to be wide like it is in the nursery. I'm using my own home for reference, which I often do. My own home was built between 1905 and 1910. It's a bungalow, and I use it for a reference for some period details. There's a lot of original period details in my home, and the bedrooms all have painted wide plank floors. And this dormitory will have that as well. I'm laying the pieces out on a template. You can see it up there to the left. It's just a piece of paper. I learned this technique from Gretchen at Little Gretchen's workshop, and I have learned a whole lot of things from Gretchen. Anyway, this one was warped, so I set it aside. I just am kind of getting an idea, and here are some pieces you can save and use for another project. I'm using the only wood stain I have, which is this true brown wood stain. It is very thick and needs to be reconstituted. It took me a while to get that done. And this is kind of how I've done it before. I have one side with foil, which I stain the pieces on, and I have the other side with a paper towel, which I kind of use to let them dry off. Kind of like, making bacon. It looks really black and dark when it goes on. I don't know if that's because it's old or I didn't mix it up enough, but it does get a little lighter once I wipe it off a little bit. So then I put it on both sides and wipe it off. And I like this technique because I don't have to worry about getting glue on the outside of the planks and then staining it and it not absorbing the stain. This stain will act as an undercoat, a base coat, if you will, to the paint, and I like that. I want it to have that darker undertone to it. You can see how they lighten up quite a bit. It's a little bit time consuming to do it this way, but just put on your favorite mini channel while you work on a project like this and have it on in the background, and you'll fly right through it. My wood glue was running out, and I had already waited like 20 minutes for it to fall to the end of the bottle, and it just wouldn't come out. So I started off using tacky glue, which really, there was no time delay. It just stuck down, like I couldn't move it around at all. And I thought I better go to the wood glue, which I actually prefer for this project. So I got all the rest of my wood glue out of my bottle and put it in my little silicone, and I'm using the wood glue now. And this is my super accurate measuring technique, which works just perfectly, or well, almost perfectly. And with these planks, I find I'm not strong enough or my miter shears are not sharp enough for me to cut through them. So I do this little scoring and then cut them on the side. You saw me doing that. And then I just have my little stain pen because I'm certainly not going to get out that stain and do it again. Yeah, this is gonna be very simple. I'm not gonna fill it in with wood filler or put different layers of color, anything like that. This was really hard not to do that, but this floor is supposed to be very simple in this room. It's an old floor, and even though it's got pretty wallpaper, the floor is very simple. So let me just speed things along here. Oh, sounds like my dinner needs to come out of the oven, so I'll be right back. Your project will go much faster, at least in your memory, if you put your life on time lapse. Much like the rest of the way my week was going, there was a little problem here. This little area here was sticking up, and I needed to cut it out and replace it. And so I did. You can sometimes see repairs like that in old floors. I'm just giving it a light sand before I apply the paint. In my son's room, the floor is painted a light gray. I'm going to use a little bit of a darker gray, but I wanted to keep kind of a plain color so that it would contrast a bit with the bright, busy wallpaper. And there we go. After it dries, I'll put a little Mod Podge on it to give it a little bit of a shine. I only did one coat, which makes it look a little worn in places. I like that. I bought these trims on sale from Minimum World, and they're pre-painted white and they're a little bit glossy. I sanded them and it took a couple coats of raw umber. I really liked that dark raw umber. That's one of my favorite colors. And I just got this trim going. I'll add some more trims when the wall between the dorm and the nursery goes up. That's a whole other project. Well, here's what I have up. You can see how I've set the door handles a little more at a right angle, and they have not come off since then. I'm going to make this wall inside the parlor a portrait wall. I got that idea from my friend Jolene at Tiny Keyhole Minis. I've already started cutting out photographs and preparing my frames. I'm really excited about that. I just put a few pieces of furniture here in the dormitory just to give you an idea. This is not how it's going to be. I have something special planned for one area of the dormitory. We'll see if I can pull that off. And I have a really special project planned for the parlor, for a piece of furniture for the parlor. And I can't wait to get started on that. I just can't decide what to do first. So it was really hard to leave the floor plain because I want to try different things. I wanted to stencil it like I did in the nursery, but I left it plain ultimately because the wallpaper is so busy. And you can see on the wall side with the French door that I decided to go ahead and put the paper all the way down and forget about the painted wall. So all my mixing paint and all that was for nothing. And once I did that, I was happy with that wall. I was not happy with the little pieces of wallpaper on it. It just needed to be fully covered. So I am really, really happy with the way the wall and the doors and everything turned out. And so I really would like to work on some of these projects, but I don't know if I'm obligated to work on the nursery wall first. I don't know if I can because I kind of need to do something beyond construction. If you enjoyed seeing my mistakes and how I tried to fix them, I hope you'll consider leaving a thumbs up, but mostly I hope you'll come back and visit me next time in the doll cupboard.